I don't normally do what I eat or how I train in a day type videos, mainly because I just do what I do. I certainly wouldn't want to suggest I should become anyone's plan to follow. The idea is you just watch these, laugh, get motivated, then go off and watch someone else to see if anything I've said is actually sensible. But a couple of people have recently suggested that my current sporting performance is only down to my ability to work out and eat right 24/7 because I've got nothing else to do. So I thought, well, I'll take today to show you what I do. Not that I do that much, but what I do in regards to diet and exercise is pretty regular stuff. I'm not an athlete or a personal trainer or a coach. I just make YouTube videos about what I'm doing, which for the last few years has been getting in shape. But I'm no hardcore fitness influencer. Yes, I'm at my desk at 6 a.m, but I'm not doing breath work and jumping in a cold plunge to start my day. I'm only up because the dogs bark at 6 a.m. to be let out. Yes, that is a cold plunge tub in the garden, but it's only there to threaten the dogs with drowning if they ever bark before 6 a.m. So right now, my diet and fitness is kind of between two states, which makes everything quite average for the minute at least. So a good time to do this. The two states it's between are the sort of habit-based approach I've taken for the first half of this year, where there's been no real structure. It's just been kind of sticking to the basics, and soon going to be moving into a much more target and goal fixated period. So right now, between those two phases, it's all about achieving a balance, a nice balance. So what does that look like for breakfast? So I start with the greens drink with my creatine monohydrate and beta-alanine in it, and then a Huel shake for all my vitamins and minerals. And then I throw a handful of chocolate chips in there for the balance bit. Do I weigh the chocolate chips in there and work out the calories? No, as long as it's not a burger for breakfast. I'm happy. The day I weigh chocolate chips, I will drown myself in the cold plunge. I also had a coffee, instant and not made in slow motion, so I'm not getting an invite to the fitness bloggers Christmas party anytime soon. And that's it for breakfast. If I'm trying to drop weight, I might sometimes skip the Huel shake. If I've got a lot of training that day, I might add oats to it, make a sort of Huel porridge. That's quite nice. If that sounds like an advert for Huel, it's not. I've probably shifted Tony Montana levels of powder for those guys. I get zilch in return. So buy it, don't buy it, do what you like. Or buy it and try and use the code Mark doesn't give a fresh from the shower and work begins. So from 7 a.m. until my late morning gym session is 99% of the time sat here doing one of the three C's: content, communication, or crap. What this time is not spent doing is eating challenges or running around racetracks or even anything remotely active. The vast majority of this job is sat here a lot. So content, that is making sure the YouTube video for this week is going to be ready for Friday. Sometimes it's filmed over a weekend and it'll be finished by now. It's currently Wednesday. This week I'm obviously literally filming it as we speak on Wednesday. So that just changes project to project. It's also getting the video for the Patreon members up, but that went up yesterday for them. That was a review of High Rocks New York, and recording and editing the 2 Patreon podcasts, which is all a lot to do. And on top of that, Instagram, Facebook posts, editing the long form stuff into shorter clips that can be used for reels and things. So that's content, and it's what fills most of my time here. Then communication is answering DMs, messages from Patreon members primarily. Occasionally, I'll try and do the same for Instagram and Facebook. It's not always practical nowadays because we just get too many that come in that way, so that doesn't always happen. And then email, which is really just trying to filter out the interesting stuff that comes in from companies wanting us to advertise their junk and turn the videos into product placement hellholes. And the crap is the rest of it. So today I've got all sorts. An issue with the accountants I've got to figure out. I've got to send a bit of camera gear back that's gone faulty. Got to sort my motorbike insurance renewal out. Last year I was a company director and insurance was incredibly cheap. This year I'm a full-time YouTuber. I'm now staggeringly high risk apparently. And there's a blending of work and personal stuff that happens. So some tasks are going to be a lot less YouTube work specific than others, but that's just the nature of working for yourself. It all just kind of gets jumbled up. Some people don't like that aspect of working for themselves, but we find it plays out just fine. And it is all very much full time. I'm sure there are ways to film and chuck out content super quick with minimal hours spent sat in front of editing software. But that's not what I do. I like the creative part of video making. No one edits my stuff but me. Could someone do it better, quicker? Maybe, probably. I don't know. I don't care. You have to enjoy what you do, and I enjoy this. It's hard. It's a constant learning process, but it is what I quit my old job to do. Not be an influencer or a role model or a brand ambassador, to make videos. Also today, I'm in the middle of trying to sell my old Garmin, currently talking on Facebook Marketplace to middle-aged Carol from Oxford, who wants me to confirm I've shipped it to an address not in Oxford, in fact somewhere that, according to Google Street View, seems to be post-apocalyptic, and using a name that is not Carol. In fact, it's a name that sounds to me more like it belongs to someone that was in the gang that killed John Wick's puppy. I'm currently trying to get Carol to send me a selfie. I'm hoping that Yuri will play along and I'll end up with a sort of Mrs. Doubtfire John Wick mashup. It's not going to plan so far. So yeah, as I said, it's full time. Yuri has gone quiet. Either he knows I'm onto him and his scammer ways, or he's gone out to buy an old lady wig. Fingers crossed. Off to the gym, and the gym is probably the bit where people make the most inaccurate assumption about what I'm doing, because often the assumption is that they think I know what I'm doing, and I really don't. I have never, almost ever in my life, trained properly for anything. I've always just kind of made up as I go along. When I first did my jogging training to do park run, I mean training, I just jogged until I thought I was going to throw up, and I'd walk a bit. I mean, even when I was training for high rocks recently, I had a program, but it would never be very consistent because something else would always get in the way. There would be other YouTube nonsense that would stop the training from being as productive as it could be. I just wing it constantly. I mean, right now is a perfect example. So, got back from New York a couple of weeks ago, where I did high rocks. So I came back exhausted, fatigued, jet lagged. So I didn't do any training that week. And then the weekend just gone, we ran a marathon off-road, 2,000 feet of elevation. Still can't feel my legs. So I haven't trained this week. And on Saturday, I'm doing a 205-mile bike ride across the country. I haven't really prepared for either. So I haven't trained in ages. I'm going to the gym now, numb from the waist down. I don't want to do anything too heavy, chest and back wise, because I might go and tweak something before the ride on Saturday. If that sounds a bit kind of make up as you go along, yes, my training is not very clever. That's why I'm always telling people, don't copy me. Or copy me, but don't expect to get marvellous results. Arms and shoulders, done. Reps and sets, yeah, some or both of those. I don't know, I wasn't really counting even at the time. I don't pay that much attention to it. I was thinking when I was in there, actually, there was a time when I trained quite properly, seriously, which was for a very short window when I was going to be doing the Ironman a couple of years ago, that never happened because of COVID, and now never will, because they basically kept all my money in a refund stitch-up scam worthy of Yuri, funnily enough. Anyway, yeah, that was the last time I trained properly. Since then it has been this, and the reason I don't worry that it's not proper is because the gap between Joe Blogs doing nothing and me going to the gym and just kind of mucking about, that's huge. That's the difference between being fit and healthy and not. Now, a difference between me mucking about and someone really taking it seriously and doing it properly, that's a big jump again. But a big jump to what? Yeah, maybe a more aesthetic look, maybe being stronger. I mean, not things that are going to fundamentally make much difference to things like longevity and so on. Having said all that, I am going to be, in a couple of weeks' time, changing it to a much more structured approach. I've kind of done, 10 plus years now of making up as I go along, and it's time for a change. I don't think the change is going to be worth it. I'm not going to say too much because I'm going to do a whole video about this at the time, but I don't think the change will be worth it. I think I'll conclude at the end of this year, yes, I am hitting the targets and goals I'm going to be setting myself, but it wasn't worth the extra effort, because the nice thing about the way I train at the moment is it's pretty relaxed. If that didn't come across already. What a beautiful day. So I've been home, I've had lunch, 2 bagels, pretty much the same lunch I have every single day. The only thing that differs is that sometimes it's my first meal of the day if I'm skipping breakfast. Ate with Jen. She appears to be carb loading for the end of the world right now. And then normally from lunch through to about 5 p.m. is just back in the office working again. But I've got a few other things that I have to get done today. So they're happening instead. The first of those was dealing with Lincoln. Lincoln got access to one of the kids' bedrooms and decided to eat a can of deodorant, brand new, chomped down on it and injected all of it straight down his throat. Not even the Fast and Furious boys would dump that much gas in one go.
I need NOS.
So the house now smells of pear and cedarwood, and so does Lincoln. In case you're wondering if he's all right, yeah, remarkably, he's not dead. Jen gave him some plant-based milk. I don't know why she thinks that the solution to having a giant cylinder explode down your throat is to guzzle down some milk substitute, but she is the expert on the dogs. And now I'm about to go to the chiropractor. I alternate chiropractor and sports massage, 1 month then the next. I brought my chiro forward about a week to get it in before the bike ride on Saturday. So I just want to make sure that I'm not misaligned in some weird way. I don't want to crouch down on the bike on Saturday and think, oh, I should have got that prodded. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'm in the garage. So back from the chiro, I am now perfectly aligned. The next thing on the agenda is to get the bike ready for a final test ride before the 205-mile ride on Saturday, coast to coast. It's just had a service. That was done while I was over in the States, so it's working perfectly, but I've got to work out where I'm going to put the cameras, the front-facing one, the rear-facing one, the one that looks at me. I've got to test the mic to make sure it can hear me, basically get it set up so it's ready to ride. I'm then going to go and jump back in the office and get a bit more work done, and then go out for a ride on it and just make sure it all works as it should. Okay, so out on a test ride. I've got the front of the bike set up, looking ridiculous, but it all kind of works. I hope. I'll take a photograph of it when I get back home and stick it on top of this. Front facing camera, rear facing camera looking at me. The audio on this now is probably okay. What I need to check is what the audio is like riding along with wind noise. There's my 13-14 miles an hour. So this is going to be my average speed, and I can hear the wind whistling past my ears. I don't know how much of this is even getting picked up. It was all getting picked up. Standard GoPro front-facing speaker sounded plenty good enough for what I need Saturday. As with my ultra runs, most of the race commentary is going to be done from here afterwards. I just need to be free to add a few choice one-liners if the situation requires it. Oh my God. I don't think this audio is going to be good, so let's stick the mic on. Right, there we go, 14 miles an hour. Is that any better? No, wearing a wired mic was not better, so one less bit of kit to take to the start line. Okay, I've tried a little tweak here where the front-facing camera is now resting back against my aero bar. So no matter what bumps I go over, the camera can't move from its position. 1, 2, 3 testing, 1, 2, 3 testing. And that is my final setup for Saturday. I've got plenty of things that can go wrong on the day, but hopefully you'll at least be able to hear all about them clearly. So since that ride, I've had my last meal of the day, burger, sweet potato fries. On some occasions, that short bike ride would have been a longer cardio session. 1 weight session and 1 cardio session a day is something I will do now and then, and follow it with a protein shake normally, with my final meal of the day being later in the evening. But we are out tonight, so everything's been brought forward a bit, including the dog walk, which is going to happen right now. So walking the dogs is the one bit of exercise that always happens without fail every single day, which is good because some days I can be sat here in the office literally non-stop at the desk. So being forced to take 45 minutes to move around is no bad thing. That was then followed by a quick 25 minutes in the sauna with some mobility, bit of stretching, and my legs are still really tired from last weekend's marathon, so hopefully they are going to loosen up before Saturday. And we're now out for a movie, which is going to include popcorn, hence dropping the protein shake from earlier to leave some extra calorie wiggle room.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
And that is it. Day is wrapped up. As always, full movie review will be within the Friday podcast. But in summary, The Flash is a mess with CGI that looks like one of my kids did it. All it made me want to watch was a proper Michael Keaton as old Batman movie. Time for bed. So hopefully, having seen a fairly average day, that shows that any sporting performance I have of late doesn't come off the back of working like a lunatic in the gym or eating with excessive strictness. I get some people will think that my working day is not particularly tough. On the flip side, I had to do 30 years in a different career to be able to do this. If I was trying to actually make a living from this, I'd need to be working a second job. It would look very different. But my time allocated to training is pretty regular. Sure, sometimes it can be more intense, but equally I can easily go a couple of weeks and do nothing. As I've always said, to elevate yourself from average to a bit better than that doesn't take much. Gym a few times a week, running or cycling now and then, daily walk, vaguely mindful of what you eat. That'll get most people to better than most people. Okay, if you want to go beyond that, it takes a lot more effort, work, structure, and I get beaten by people in sporting events that do that all the time. I'd just rather have a balance between things that's in favour of being more relaxed. I just have no need to be better than where I am now. I know social media tells us to constantly strive for better and better performance and aim to be the best possible version of ourselves, but I just don't buy into that. Life is short. Spending it constantly striving to be better at a random aspect of your life that being better at really makes no difference at the end of the day, because you're unlikely to be on your deathbed looking back with great fondness at exactly how much your deadlift was in your 30s. So I focus on, do I feel good? Do I feel happy? Are the people around me good and happy? Yes, then as long as I can deadlift something, that will do. That is it. I should just wrap up by confirming that, yes, the dog does still smell like a teenage boy's bedroom. I never did get a selfie of Yuri doing his best Carol impression. And I still can't find somebody to insure my vehicles for a sensible price as a YouTuber. So it looks like this weekend's 200 miles on a bicycle might be something I need to start getting very used to. And seriously, the dog stinks.